All right, hello everybody, welcome back to the build. We're going to continue fabbing up the exhaust. In the last episode we fabricated the elbows and put the catalytic in place to really figure out what challenges we're going to have. And I've done some work off camera and we definitely have some challenges. I'll segue over to the workbench and I'll show you what I'm working on. All right, well there she is. So, I really need to mock up these parts. In 2D everything fit great. In 3D we've got some challenges, but it turns out I'm using some hot glue to sort of mock up and tack everything in place just to see how it fits. And the hot glue is great. It peels off when you're done, but it has a pretty strong grab to it on the stainless steel, and just to clean it off you use a little rubbing alcohol. All right, but anyway, this is the exhaust flange, and eventually I'll slit this elbow in half and weld half here, half in the front, and then I'll do some filler panels on the side. But ideally, I'd like to use this size. This is how I drew out the pattern. This keeps the tube above the frame. The challenge I'm having is that the exhaust manifolds are wider than the frame. So if these go down lower, I've got to angle them inboard. I also have the exit for the dry sump oil tank, which sort of runs underneath this. So I'd like to stick with this design. The challenge is that this is about a half to a full inch more outboard than the tube coming down for the catalytics. And what I'll do is I'll bolt this on and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, we're going to take this segment in a different direction. So a shout out to Dave. He's one of the viewers. He mentioned that Dan Dulac used a product called Ice Engine Works when he mocked up his headers. And equal length headers are very complicated to construct. So there's a company that makes this product where you use a bunch of variable angled plastic parts and they lock together. And you can design your headers and then you disassemble them and send those parts off to the company, and they literally make the cuts for you. But in my case, this was more complex than the 2D model, but it wasn't so complex that I needed a product like that. And that product is not inexpensive. I found a 3-inch version of it and it's $650. And so the price of this exhaust without the cats is $450, so it is hard to justify that. But anyway, this is my mock-up of the V-band clamp. You'll see a V-band clamp on the next segment, and then this is a mock-up of the catalytic. I just happen to find this stuff sitting in the basement. So anyway, that's my Ice Engine Works. Saved myself some bucks. But anyway, we'll segue over and I'll show you what the downpipes look like at this point. And here we go. So here's a short video of what those mocked up downpipes look like. You can see they sort of pigeon toe in. They go from sort of outside the frame to point inside the rear engine mount. So, you got to clear these bolts. You got to clear this back part. I made it extra bulky. In hindsight, I wish I trimmed that down a little bit. But at this point, I'm not going to take those out, trim them, replate them, and reinstall them. So we'll work around it. But you'll see in the final version, the cats sort of angle in and then through this area, right around there. But I do have to leave enough room for the for some insulation. And here's here's the driver's side, and you can see that sort of engine, that engine or liquid to oil cooler in the tube. So it's some tight quarters, but I was able to angle it properly. to have the cat meet up with this, clear that engine mount, and then also have enough room for the V-band clamp. All right, so we're going to get to work on fabbing up those downpipes, and we'll take a look. Okay, well, we'll take a peek at how it all came together before we mock up the down, well, not mock up, but fabricate the down tubes. You can see the mocked up catalytic converter connects to the pigeon-toed or the toe in on the down tube, and I actually have the V-band clamp there, not the mock-up. But anyway, if I can point out, you know, it easily clears now those bolts. It easily clears the tip of the engine mount, and I will still angle that catalytic back a bit and get it away from the spark plug wire. So it turned out just mocking this up in 3D, using some cardboard I have lying around, really did the job. So Dave, thanks for pointing out the Ice Engine Works product. I just sort of made a poor man's version, but you know, this just isn't that complicated. So I'm happy with this design. Now we'll start fabricating the parts. All right, well, now it's time to get to work. Basically what I did off camera, I played around with some different pie cuts and got the right amount of toe in for the cat on the passenger and driver side. Also trimmed the front of the resonator a little bit, and I got it all to fit. I mean, there's not a lot of room, but it does fit. So now it's really time to take these mandrel bends and turn them into sort of an oval downpipe. So I drew the center line, and I'm basically going to use a jigsaw and cut these out, and then I'll trim them up, and you'll sort of have a downpipe that's an oval downpipe that'll match the flange well. All right, so that's sort of the next step. We'll take a look at the fabrication and we'll see what I come up with, and then we'll take a peek of everything mounted on the car and fit it up. All right, well, we'll take a look at the mock-up on the work table instead of the car. It's just easier to see what's going on. But anyway, I love it when a plan comes together, so I'm very happy with this. I can point out a couple things. Let's see, so the downpipe came out really good by splitting that tube. Then I introduced a pie cut at the end of the downpipe here, and basically this sort of toes the catalytic in, and then also if I rotate it a little more, it starts to pivot the catalytic up, and in this case I did rotate it a little bit. You can see the angle of the cat is a little steeper than the pattern, but making it a little steeper just sort of worked out well and lined up better with the muffler or the resonator. So this is the passenger side. We'll take a look at the driver side. It's a little more compact and the angle's a little different, and then we'll call it a wrap. All right, now we see the driver's side, and a couple things to point out here. Let's see, the angle that I put in here, the pie slice is much thinner than on the passenger side. The headers are shifted back on the driver's side, so you know I had to make a tighter bend. You can see this cat is on a steeper angle. I just had to position it that way to get it to fit. Also, I trimmed on both sides the end of the resonator. So this was 2 inches, now it's about an inch. But that should all work out, and you can see this is what the 2D model did not take into account, that pigeon toeing or the toe in of those downpipes. So once again, Dave, thanks for bringing the Ice Engine Works to my attention. That got me thinking, so I sort of made a poor man's version of it. I think we're going to call it a wrap here. This will be the second part in a 3-part series. The next part, I'll fabricate these closeout panels, tack it all up, and I got to drill the holes for the O2 sensors, and then I'll send it off to a professional welder to get it welded up. All right. Well, anyway, I'm glad I made a lot of progress here. I mean, it's just tedious work to get this stuff to fit in such a tight space. But anyway, as always, thanks for watching. Take care.